Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Do We Know Them? Episode 239, and I sound a little nasally, but I am feeling a little better, finally.
You're on the road to recovery.
Yeah, I told Jesse, I think I sneezed like 50,000 times last night.
I feel like we've switched places, not because you're sick, but because I did not sleep, like at all. I slept maybe an hour last night.
I barely slept last night either. I couldn't. Like, you texted me, and I had been like, kind of like...
Maybe we didn't switch.
Right?
Maybe we're just twins now.
No, it was weird, because I was really tired, and I got in bed pretty early, but then
same.
I just like laid there and was like
That's
half
the worst.
asleep.
It's the worst too, like especially when you're a parent and you know that not sleeping is just going to be absolute shit for you the next day, but you just can't help it. And if you want to know, well, for the first half of the night, it was my daughter not letting me leave her room, which was fun.
Yes.
Then for the second half of the night, when I finally did make it out of her room and into my room, I was binge watching a Netflix show. And I haven't done that in forever, but I just could not sleep. I was so
What were
into
you
it.
watching?
Thank you for asking. I could talk about it this whole episode, actually.
Oh God, maybe I regret asking.
No, it's called Younger, and it stars Sutton Foster and Hilary
You don't
Duff.
have to tell me. Of course I've seen Younger.
You've seen Younger?
This is the first time you've ever seen it.
into
It's like old.
I didn't know it existed, and I'm so excited because there's 7 seasons, and I'm like, oh my God, everything's amazing. And I'm already on season, I think, 4. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever
it's been great.
Totally finished it, but I definitely have seen
oh my
very
God, I
decent
can't
chunk
put
of
it down.
And it's like cheesy, but good cheesy.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's
no,
so
it's perfect.
like it's so easy to watch, and like it just keeps me hooked. And then there's just enough like drama, but then also like a lot of like really satisfying moments to watch as a viewer. I don't know. It's got me hooked. If you guys have any other shows like Younger, please comment them below, because I'm going to be going through a depression, I think, when I finish it.
Well, not even remotely in the same genre, but I know there's a new Black Mirror season, and I feel like I need to...
Black Mirror is good. It stresses me out a lot.
It doesn't strike me as a
personally.
show
I
you
think
would
that's why I like
No.
Younger.
Yeah.
I hate shows like I couldn't watch You because You was too stressful. Like he's almost always getting caught. He's a freak of nature. I couldn't do it.
I liked
And
that for a
then-
while, and then it kind of got old. I'm like, he wouldn't really still not be like... It's just a little
Well,
unrealistic.
the almost getting caught all the time. I feel like in Younger, it's like so much... I don't know, like the stakes don't feel
Much
as
lower
high. And
stakes.
it's not as nerve-wracking.
For sure.
So I don't know. I really love it. I am a little frustrated with where she is in her relationships right now, but it's keeping things really exciting.
Yeah. Well, hello, girlies.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you guys? We have quite an interesting show for you today. A few topics that we've been wanting to talk about, and now we're going to talk about them.
That is what we do on the
Like
show.
sleepy
We
drunk.
do, yes.
Yep, and that is why we're here today.
Time to
Perfect.
yap. Yeah, so this first one, I feel like we'll have some insight for because
Oh, I think
we could
so.
totally just...
I saw a little bit of it, but I was like, ugh, I gotta save it because I had so many thoughts just right off the bat.
Okay, so it was called the Unhinged Podcast. It started apparently June 2023. Both 2 first names. Emma Page and Chloe Madison.
That is true. That is 2 first names. That's
Yeah, it is.
weird.
Full disclosure, I've never seen an episode and I had no idea who either of these people were
Same.
until like a week ago.
Same.
Only reason I found out is because I saw the Emma Page girl post a very dramatic, like, straight to camera, like, I'm going to tell you everything that has happened, and basically that her podcast was stolen from her.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, okay, worst nightmare. There you are. Like, that just feels like
You're
I'll
like
kill
texting me like,
myself.
hey, is everything?
Lily, I can't log into the YouTube account.
Right?
What's
No,
going
but so
on?
I feel like we have unique insight that we can offer
sure.
by putting ourselves
Yeah.
in their shoes. She has a whole podcast where she breaks down everything, but should we watch like
That's
the...
ironic. She started a podcast to like expose this, or
No,
it's
actually,
just her new podcast?
No, she could have, which probably would have been a smart move, but she didn't want to base the entire thing off this. She seems very
Slay, I get that.
She's like, seems like she's very businessy and like put together and doesn't want to do, she like tries to do everything by the book and doesn't want to like,
Right.
she seems like she has a lot of integrity is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I think my number one question is, how did they meet? Do you know?
No,
Like, why
I
did
do
they start
not
a
know,
podcast
but
together?
she does say that they did not know each other well when they started.
See, that's so interesting.
I just am like, how does
So
that happen?
wild. I honestly think it's like these like media companies. I could be wrong. I don't know if this is what happened in their case, but I'm just saying in general, like there's all these media companies that like, have you not seen our emails where people will be like, can this person come on your podcast? Can this person, you know what I mean? Like the public, the
Yeah,
PR
but that's more
emails
of like
and
a
stuff.
PR
There's,
thing. Like,
schmoozing.
how do you like
I know,
start
but maybe
a
it's-
podcast with someone that like, I mean, obviously
Maybe they
they
just met.
yeah,
and
they had to
hit
have
it
met
off.
and maybe they were both like looking for their like next thing. Neither of them have a ton of followers though. So it seems like they really kind of came up together.
Well, that's the wild thing. I know, like, you and I both came from having an organic following on our own, and then we just merged and created a new audience here, and some are from are past and some are new and whatever. But like, it was like grinding for like a year at least minimum before we made anything. We've talked about that so many times. Like, you don't make good money starting a podcast. I'm just telling you right now, unless you're like, I don't know, somebody that everyone's like, oh my God, I can't wait for that podcast. And everyone's just tuning in automatically.
Totally.
But to build an audience, you take forever.
Well, and especially like ours, even like, at least and I've thought this about when I see other people start podcasts, that if it's just like two girls chatting, nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure like it could be super interesting, but it's going to be really hard to find an audience because there's a lot of girls chatting out there.
Yeah.
A lot of girls
like
just yapping. So I think what helped us get new eyeballs, obviously, is having like SEO driven topics. I know a lot of people found us through like the Deaf Noodles thing and even through like the Colleen Ballinger thing, which we don't really talk about anymore. But
any other traumatic topics you'd like to bring up?
Right. So like while we did have audiences that we already brought to it, I think that helped us find new ones. And obviously, I think once they found us, they might have watched originally for that topic, and now they're just part of the girlies and they just come.
Yeah, but you're right.
Topics.
There's a lot of podcasts that are just people sitting and talking. I think that's actually the majority of podcasts. They will like bring up like random viral videos or something just to have something to react to. But a lot of people are just sitting and talking about like different topics.
But I do think it's interesting that we do not have a presence on TikTok because it's a lot of work. I think so many podcasts, though, do prioritize social media, and especially them, they had like 500,000 followers on their TikTok. So even though they only have like personally like around 20,000 each, and on YouTube, it was like 20,000 when I looked, I think.
But I mean, that's super impressive to start it from the ground up and not have a huge presence on your own necessarily.
No, for sure.
It's interesting that they chose each other, and then it's also interesting that they gained such an audience.
Well, and I think it's probably because of TikTok, because they probably had clips go viral and then people went to check out the entire podcast. So their road to success definitely much different than ours. And obviously they didn't know each other that well. We've known each other since 2015. So like we definitely were very familiar with each other and like knew each other's work ethic and like what the other's good at. I do think it is kind of crazy to think of starting it with someone that you don't know and you don't know how they're going to handle certain things. And then you like run into a conflict.
Yeah. I mean, and we haven't even started and we already have so many thoughts, but like, yeah, I think that is insane. I think that even us knowing each other for so long, like we have had to figure out how the other person works and how to navigate certain things because work and friendship is two different things. You know what I mean? And it's like challenging sometimes, but also for us, I think our main goal was always the same. And like we had that like love and care for each other in general as people that really carries you through like some stupid work shit that you're like, okay, whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Well, and that's, we both know that the other one like means well. Like we don't have to question each other's intentions because like we know the person well enough. Also though, something that's also crazy about this is the Emma girl that is the first one I saw where she's like very serious and like businessy. She, to my knowledge, doesn't say like what happened really between them and for the reason that they wanted to end the podcast. But she does say that a contributing factor was because the co-host, Chloe, apparently moved. I think they were both in New York and then Chloe moved to LA. So then they were suddenly bi-coastal. And I was like, oh.
Not a problem, girls. Come on.
Want some advice?
Step into our corner.
But so I think she brought up like the like time change and scheduling. And like I think they actually might have been even flying to film with each other. They didn't have
That's insane.
This setup.
Alex did that when he filmed a podcast with his friend. He flew to friggin' LA and stayed there for a month. And I'm like,
no,
girl, I'll just have Lily teach me how she colors and I'll help you do it. Like, what are you talking about? I think that's insane. I know that it's not super common to do what we do. I think it's literally us and then it's like Chelsea and Sherilyn's podcast where it's like, let's make it look like we're in the same room.
I feel like also we get antsy about like, I don't like to have like 2 months of content banked because like after a week I'm no, that's old. I don't want to watch
and like
it
if I have something new I need to get off my chest.
Exactly.
Like,
and then it like goes up 3 months later. Absolutely not.
No. So they were trying to make it work for a while by banking content.
To my knowledge, she mentions at one point something about flying to each other. I could totally be wrong because again, never seen it. And all the podcast episodes are deleted to my knowledge.
I was about to ask, is there no evidence that this podcast existed?
No. I feel like we're going to be interjecting a lot with our own like personal, like how we would handle this. But like,
welcome to Yap Town.
Right.
Hope you girls are seated.
But like, so in comparison, like hypothetically, theoretically, if we decided to end the podcast, and we've talked about this before, I think even like on the podcast, that like
That would be horrible.
it would have to be a very unique circumstance that like one of us wanted to leave, like that one of us basically would be replaced. I can't see a situation where that would happen. Like if one of us quit and was like, but don't stop the podcast or something, like I can't do it for whatever reason, but like you should find someone else to host it.
I'm trying to think of what circumstance that would happen under. I'm like, I think I would just have to be dead. What else? Why would we do it otherwise?
I don't really see
know.
a situation with that happening, but I guess if it was like amicable in some way and we agreed that like don't give it up to, I don't know.
Yeah, like keep on my legacy.
Again, like that would be such a, I don't even know what kind of scenario that would provoke that outcome.
No. I feel like the identity of the show is us.
Exactly.
And if we were to have a different venture, it would need to be a different venture. It wouldn't ever be able to exist in the same, even if there was another person filling in for the other person, it would just be a completely different dynamic. Like it doesn't matter who you change.
Even if I was replaced, the other girl who
doesn't
like,
matter.
Replace me with Kathleen. They've been asking for that since episode 1.
Literally every picture that we post is like one person. It's always just like one random person. And they spelled Kathleen's name wrong. They spelled it with a C. I'm like, what the fuck?
I said it was literally on Jesse's birthday post to me. And it was like, you should do the podcast with Kathleen instead. I was like, really? On my birthday?
Let me have one day.
Give me one day. No, but anyway, it would be like weird to continue it because all the comments also would be like, what do you mean? Like it would take too much. It's not like an adjustment period. It would just be like, what's going on?
A different podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. It would have to be such, and we even talked about that with Brianna, I never remember which one. Chicken Fry and Grace.
And Grace.
That it's like Brianna kept being like, oh yeah, I'm looking for new talent. I was like, it's called Plan Brie.
Yeah, if you replace both of you, it's no longer the same podcast.
Exactly. Then just start a new podcast. But in this situation, and especially because they don't both have big solo followings, I understand maybe the stakes were a little higher. I think that probably played a big factor. And then because they weren't friends, there was less of that like personal investment, that it was like more of just like that's their job. So basically, spoiler alert, the podcast ends and Emma gets essentially locked out of the podcast and Chloe replaces her and deletes everything and renames the podcast, but uses all of the socials and everything and the YouTube channel. So it still has the followers, it still has the subscribers, and it just a new name and new people. Like Emma never existed.
I literally would just freak out. I would have like that moment when Shane Dawson went on live when Tati's video was released and he just verbal diarrhea. That would have been me. I would have gone live and just like, I don't know, gotten canceled for something, crying probably.
It's funny because in my head,
so fucked up.
I was picturing Mean Girls when Regina like runs into a room and is screaming after she has like the Caltine bar still in her teeth.
And also, just like the notion that it used to be called the Unhinged Podcast, and then Chloe changed it to Unbothered Podcast. That would have made me crash out even more.
Feels like a little salt in the wound.
Oh my God, beyond.
Let's watch Emma's original like intro, because I feel like this gives like a good vibe of like
like an overview
what she's like, which she's definitely gotten a lot of followers from this, I think.
It's been 2 months since I have been erased from the existence of my own podcast. 2 months since the Unbothered podcast has been operating on my accounts without my consent and without compensating me for my half of the business as a 50-50 partner. I am at a loss and I am done keeping quiet. There is only one person whose peace my silence is keeping, and it is not mine. Everything I'm about to say comes bearing receipts and is completely factual. This is the account of what actually happened to my podcast, Unhinged.
Oh, she's pissed.
I saw this and I was like, oh my God.
I would be.
Literally, one of the comments is, invested? Yes. Do I have any idea what's going on? No.
Yeah, when I saw this, I mean, because I had never heard of the podcast, but her like stoicness, the way she is just like straight to the point. If I was Chloe, I'd be dropping a little.
She had it pre-written, but she's not reading. She knows what she wants to say.
Yeah, when you go through those types of moments and you're so angry, you rehearse a few times, while you're getting ready, a few days before in the shower. You're really, really feeling it. So yeah, she's fucking pissed, as she should be.
Yeah, so she had started a new podcast. It's been 2 months since she was erased from her former one. So during those 2 months, and maybe even a little before that, she's been building up this new podcast, which is called Too Much. And it's just her. She has no co-host that she has replaced the other one anyone would.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, girl. You got burned. Like,
Literally,
I wouldn't either.
Right? I'm like, I would never trust anyone again. Seeing like the playlists on it are like personal development, dating and relationships, hyper independence. So I feel like it's probably similar kind of themes and stuff as the other one, just like less conversational because it's not a conversation because it's just her. Then she puts out a full video about everything that happened and she comes with all of the receipts. And I watched the whole thing and it is pretty wild.
Okay, so this first clip we're going to watch is her talking about how she reached out to a lawyer since they didn't have an official contract together.
Which is
we don't
crazy, but I
either.
also get. Like,
Yeah.
like we
Hello,
don't, we
what,
don't have
what
a
do you
contract.
mean? We do not. We have a friendship contract. That's it. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Like
I don't know
we
what
have
we're
signed
doing.
in blood, but I mean, but also we just know the
That's
other person
crazy.
would never do this.
If you don't know someone to trust them that much is insane. Like you and I have cried together. You know what I mean? That says something.
But at the
for your
same
heart.
time, I'm like,
It would just rock my whole world.
well, that, I
if
mean,
this
it just,
happened to
it
us.
wouldn't happen. But that's, I'm like trying
No,
to
it
think,
would
I'm like,
never
I've
happen.
never,
It would never happen.
the only person I've like gone into business with, it's Jocelyn. And I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
I even think we
Went
probably
well.
did have some contracts there because George was involved too. But like,
Right.
not anything I have to worry about. Like they
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
I consider like family. Same with you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's
Yeah.
not even something that would cross my mind. But I
so
guess
awful.
if you just
Like, it
were
just-
like thinking like, I would never do that. So you kind of assume like she wouldn't either.
Totally.
But like,
And also, when you're starting a podcast, obviously you're starting a podcast because you're hoping somebody's going to listen somewhere. But in general, like you could not probably perceive that it's going to be successful enough to need a contract. You know what I mean? Like that's not even something that anybody really thinks about.
and ultimately she does touch on that like in New York, there's like implied partnership laws. So it's
Okay.
like she does still have rights. And I think they are like potentially getting some legal
Dude, I think
stuff
even
involved.
text messages could be like verbal contracts.
No,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
And they have like, she said throughout, they would have like a very clear breakdown of like daily responsibilities and like who was in charge of what. And they would alternate doing
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So there wasn't like an official contract, but like they had a handshake agreement at least.
Yeah.
Emma does not try, like she tries to keep it pretty professional. And like, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like she's trying to like slander her or anything. But
Okay.
just so backstory is that she was the one to be like, hey, I want out. But it was not, I want out, have fun. It was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
want out. Let's figure out the next steps.
Since my first attempt at getting in touch, I started consulting with a couple lawyers. Nothing official yet, but I needed to get my ducks in a row. And I was going to do this by the book with integrity. I was advised to send a formal notice of dissolution and propose the next steps. And what was made clear to me was that even though we did not have a contract on paper, under New York state law, which is where we started the podcast, we are considered an implied partnership, which holds up in the court of law. And that we are both co-owners of this podcast and all of its associated accounts due to the split of work, profit sharing, the name's use in commerce, and public representation as co-owners. I mean, it was even in both of our Instagram bios. Half of Unhinged.
Oh, that's cute. I
So
like that.
on
Can we do
January
that?
13th, I sent a
My mine's just our
notice of
Patreon
dissolution via
link.
email. I opened up the email by saying, I hope you are staying safe. And then I laid out what dissolving the podcast would look like.
Oh my God, she's so type A. See, that's our problem. We don't really have one of those. I like take on that role, but I'm not good at it. So it's pretty bad.
And I have to be instructed to like,
Oh, I was like, you have to ask ChatGPT? Yes, we know, Lily.
okay, don't even, you take that back.
You know, if we were to
Do not
disillusion
insult my
whatever the fuck-
paralegal.
Well, they helped with that. Let's be honest.
They helped, but you know I'm good at writing a sassy but well-worded.
You are. When angry, you can accomplish anything. But I'm actually shocked because she's so type A that they didn't have a contract in place, because she seems like the type that would just whip one right on up and just be like, this is super casual, one page, no big deal.
No, actually she does. And like I
Right?
was seeing all this and I'm like, oh my God, this is already stressing me out. I'm like,
I know.
this is so much.
Hives. I literally think I'm getting hives. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really stressed out right now.
Like our version of this would be like, so
A text,
we're
just
ending
like
the podcast,
sobbing.
right?
I want this process to reflect the respect we've shared throughout this partnership, and I'm committed to working with you to finalize the details fairly and promptly. Please let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, or require clarification on any of the points. If you are in agreement with the above terms, please confirm by signing the following page. Or let's schedule a time to discuss further adjustments. So I said that to essentially be like, I want to dissolve, but if you would like to keep it, like to buy me out, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. My gosh, this is very frustrating.
Girl.
So with this, I also sent a suggested story that we would post the next day,
This is
essentially
crazy.
saying to our audience that we weren't going to have an episode go live that day. My initial thought was to maybe say it's because of the LA fires, but then I thought that would be a lie because that is not why we are taking a
that's
pause.
wild.
So I
Don't
sent
say
a
that.
story to my co-host in this email that said, hi guys, we are taking a pause this week. If you're in need of a good laugh, here's another episode you can watch instead. That was it. Plain, blunt, to the point. I also sent another story to be posted on January 21st announcing the end of Unhinged. Again, it was brief, to the point, and it said if you would like to keep up with Emma, you can find her here. And if you'd like to keep up with Cohost, you can find her here with both respective tags.
She's so
Again,
organized.
I received no response. However,
Get ready.
later that night, I went on Instagram and I saw a story go live on our shared account.
Hi, guys. With everything going on in LA, we have to pause on recording episodes for the time being. Hopefully can resume weekly episodes soon.
Everything in LA is referring to the fires.
Well, first of all, I can't believe either one of them ever even thought of that for a second. That's insane. You can't, why would you lie that a natural disaster is the reason you can't film?
Well, I mean, the one did live in LA, so I don't know what her situation, like if she
Girl,
did.
there was
I mean,
a fire like an hour from you and your booty cheeks was sitting right in that chair.
no, but if they
So,
had
like,
to, if
what
she
are
had
you
to,
talking
like,
about?
I know most people I know that live in LA did have to evacuate at some point,
Okay.
but
Okay.
she already said that that would be a lie, so I'm assuming that's probably not the case. But the fact that not only did that happen, she posted it.
Insane.
Like, she had sent emails, she sent like options if you wanted to make changes. This? What do you mean? Like, if you logged in and just saw this?
No, I would have a complete panic attack, and this whole thing is making me very stressed out. But she didn't answer fucking Emma's email, but she did take her opinion or like idea on having the pink background. Love that.
And
That was
she
very,
also,
that was very sweet of her.
the fact that she says hopefully can resume weekly episodes
What
soon.
does that mean?
What?
I'll be
Hopefully.
like, with who, bitch? 'Cause if
Exactly.
it's not me, then who?
This is the next day she posted this, so it's like one day of not responding. So keep that in mind.
Let me remind you, still no communication. None. And I had just sent an email a couple hours ago with a formal notice of dissolution and asking her to approve my suggested story. I'm still asking for approval because that was the checks and balance system that we had in place. Nothing like this went live without discussing it.
Yeah.
So I went onto our account, I took a screenshot, I took the story down, and I texted her and I said, I just sent you a notice of dissolution. You cannot be posting things like this without discussing it with me first. Please answer me. Again, no response.
I'd crash out. I'd crash out so bad.
Spoiler alert, she doesn't answer her for like almost 30 days.
That is, okay, to be completely honest, that is beyond any issue. Unless she like literally tried to hire a hitman to kill your mom. Like, I don't know what would result in someone being so cruel.
Cruel,
Genuinely.
immature,
That's cruel.
irresponsible,
Evil.
unprofessional, like so
Awful.
many words come to mind. So again, I'm
Yeah.
very curious because I haven't seen Chloe's response. I don't know how she could say anything.
What
That's
could she say?
No, because she showed all the receipts. So I'm like, can't wait to hear what her excuses are.
Oh boy.
On January 17th, officially 2 weeks after I sent my first attempt at amicably dissolving the
Still
podcast,
has not heard from her.
I was at wit's end. I needed to do something. I asked a lawyer, how do I get her to respond if I'm not like banging
Show
on
up to her
actual
house.
door? Like, what
Yeah,
do
no, do
I
it.
do?
I would.
I was moving ahead with my launch of Too Much. I just felt completely at a loss. I did not know what to do. The legal advice I received was to change 1 to 2 passwords while offering to share the passwords directly to my co-host in efforts to initiate a conversation to get her attention and hopefully try to just get a response.
So basically she's saying the lawyer said, change the password, but don't do it. So like, hey, I'm changing it so you can't log in. Change it, but then reach
So she
out
has
and
to
be
talk
like,
to you.
hey, you need to answer me. I'll give you the passwords, but like, I need something to get your attention, basically.
So the entire time that Chloe was ghosting Emma still had access to all of the accounts?
Yes.
Oh.
But she was not posting because she was like, well, we didn't agree, like, because she's still trying to do it by the
Right.
book. But guess what happens next?
Oh my God. I don't want to.
That's what I did. It was a business move and a legal one. What I was told by this lawyer was that as long as there was no proof that I withheld the passwords and there was proof that I offered them up, that this was totally legal to do. So I did it. I changed only the Instagram and TikTok passwords, and I did it at the exact same time as sending an email to my co-host explaining why I did it, what I
has
was
a
doing,
receipt on screen.
and offering the new login credentials back. And what I stated was that I would happily give her the new passwords if she would give me a phone call to ensure secure transfer of information. And while we're on the call, we could discuss the future of Unhinged. I shit you not, I did this at the exact same time because I made sure I did not want there to be any. I changed, and then 2 hours later I sent the email, or even a minute later. I wanted it to be at the exact same time.
Oh, I know. Her heart was racing.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is where things get ugly. Again, I got no response. I believe we're at email 4 and day 14. So instead of a response within a few hours, I was locked out of not only our Instagram and TikTok,
How'd she get in?
every single joint account that I had with my business partner.
How
Including
did
the
she get
podcast
into the
itself.
freaking Instagram and TikTok? What was her password? 1, 2, 3, 4?
I get probably secondary like recovery email.
Oh yeah, our YouTube does have both our
But
numbers.
she's really funny because she says like, maybe this is showing my millennial, but like, I don't know how she did it.
Oh yeah, no, same. I'd be like, she is a genius, I guess, because I did not see that coming.
I'm talking Spotify, which is our streaming host.
I don't even know how to get in there.
Apple, Amazon,
It's like, you'd be
Audible,
fucked.
everything. Our Gmail account, our joint email that we communicated with brands on, with external partners, everyone. So essentially all of my contacts I was locked out of. Our Descript account, which is what we edit all of the episodes on. All of our content lives in there, all of our TikToks, everything. And every other social media platform that we had, but those are the important ones. Now, unlike what I did, I was not given any notice. There was no communication.
I would
And there was
lose
no
my
offer
fucking
of
mind.
regaining access. And I have been locked out ever since. So as you can imagine, I was stunned. I was completely shocked. I also was confused at how the fuck this just happened because I thought I just changed the password. It's like, what? But I guess that was my millennial side of me showing because I don't know how she did it. So I was bugging out. I called my lawyer friend right away and I was like, what the fuck do I do? But ultimately I
Cry.
decided to take a beat and
I would have crawled in
recalibrate
a hole and been crying
because
for weeks.
cooler
Yeah.
heads prevail. That night, Mr. Wright, ironically, was taking me to see Wicked for my Christmas gift. And he had put a lot of effort into it. And I was not going to let this, no pun intended.
I would have not been able to go.
That would have ruined my entire life. That's
Yeah.
another thing when I'm like watching these shows and these characters go through like so much shit and then they just continue on about their day.
Can't do it.
I'm like, that's not me.
No.
I literally am a wallower.
All
Like
consuming.
I get, yeah, that's our mental illness, right?
Yeah, well, you know. Oh, love her.
Oh,
she
she
has
has
so
a-
many. This bitch.
Wow.
Emma, we appreciate you. She has so many time codes. So she basically says she launches the new podcast, which is what we're watching this on now, but it was not the first episode. She like had tried to
Wanted to
establish
give it time.
wanted to separate it from what she was doing. But
Makes sense.
before
Yeah.
any of this, she's not mentioned anything about the end of the other podcast or why she disappeared from it or anything. She just like started a new one, wanted to get her own brand going, and still has not heard from this girl. And it's been, I think it ended up being like 21 days at least or something before she heard from her.
Oh my God. Brutal. That is like worse than any ghosting a guy has ever done to me.
Right?
That
Like-
would just like leave me in shambles. That is just, so bad.
I would be a shell of a person and it just would feel so unresolved.
Yeah, and forget about like them being coworkers, sure, whatever, but I'm sure they became like friendly with each other. And for friends to ghost you is a whole separate thing. It's like, you fucking hate me. Like, you literally, what is it about me as a person that you despise? Because otherwise, it's not just like a fling that didn't work out.
And also
we're
just
friends.
don't respect.
Yeah, that one. Like, you know, the other person's distraught.
Yeah.
January 27th, now 24 days,
24 days,
after
not
my
21.
first attempted communication, I heard from my co-host for the first time. She essentially told me that she was going to keep Unhinged. And she
No, I need to read the whole thing. I need to read every word. I'm pissed. I am perplexed. Oh, that's not a good
You're
start.
perplexed?
I am perplexed, Chloe. I'm perplexed right
We
now.
don't even know you and we are perplexed.
I received your email on January 3rd and was caught off guard. So it took you a month to process? Got
I mean,
it.
like, don't get me wrong. You know I'm bad at emails, but like, she texted you too.
Come on. Instead of immediately responding, it was important to sit with it. Okay, that's like laying down with it. That's like going to sleep with it. That's
You
not
went
sitting
into a
with it.
coma for a month, girl.
Yeah, hibernation doesn't count. It was important to sit with it, think about what I wanted for myself and Unhinged, and then provide a fair and measured response. I thought that was reasonable, especially since you didn't respond to my earlier text sent days prior trying to make things work. Instead of giving me a moment to breathe, you immediately escalated things as I was literally evacuating my place from the fire. So she did evacuate.
Okay.
You didn't
Doesn't
take a
really
minute
change
to
things.
see if I was okay, but you were happy to create your own Instagram fundraiser for the fires and use Unhinged Instagram to promote it. Who cares what if she was for the fires? Why is that
That
a bad
seems like a
thing?
weird thing to be mad about, but okay.
Like, it's not like her fundraising for her new podcast.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's weird. Like you, I struggled with how to respond, but after you intentionally locked me out of the social accounts I set up, started a new podcast, and defamed me on multiple occasions, it's clear there is no making things work. Instead of getting into all that's happened between us, I think it's important to figure out a path forward so that each of us can move on, prioritizing our respective health and happiness.
I want to throw out the mention of the social accounts I set up. Just because you created the accounts does not give you any more ownership over them than she has.
Oh my God. She's saying that she set them up? Like that's why she
You
owns
locked me
it?
out of the social accounts I set up. So that would be like you being like, or like me being mad about.
I think it was you.
I was like, I made them, but that's like, I mean, they're pretty inactive. So
it is, and it's
not a lot
also
of
just
value
like,
there,
what did
but-
that take? 2 seconds?
right. I'm like, so you put in our joint email that we both had access to, and like,
Yeah.
like that's bullshit.
I need something, Chloe. I need it, and I need it fast.
It's going to be
this
crazy
is just too much.
to have anything that's going to redeem any of this.
She says, I don't contest that we jointly own the episodes we created together, but I came up with the name of the podcast.
So Jesse, by the way,
I set up the accounts.
I came up with the name also, so this is my podcast.
I'm literally in shambles right now. This is literally like you doing that because Lily is the one who came up with the name. She came up with the concept and she set up the accounts. And
So it's mine.
let me get this straight. Have we not both been working for 2 years
No,
to
but
make this
it's
podcast
mine
happen?
because I set
but
everything up.
Yeah, the name. The name. Got it. Yep. I mean, I always give credit to her. It was
It
a
is
very
a good
genius
name,
idea, and
but-
I love the name. As much as some people have clowned on it, I think it's great.
They just don't get it.
But yeah, no, that's insane. Yeah, they just don't get it. That's the thing.
Anyway.
But that's an insane reason to insinuate that you own more like equity in the company. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I set up the accounts. I never assigned them to you, and therefore they belong to me.
That is insane.
Therefore, it's
That is
all mine.
Actually,
Like,
that is
what is
actually insane.
If there's any revenue that I receive for the podcasts we recorded together, I will account to you and send you your 50%
I call
share.
bullshit on that. That's very hard to calculate, especially in podcast form, because it doesn't usually separate it by episode. It's like just monthly payments.
You can get by episode, but no, yeah, I
For
think you can
YouTube,
break
it's
it down by
different, I think,
episode.
than it is, though, for listens. For downloads, it's like not as clear.
Yeah. In addition, and in exchange for a mutual release where, among other things, we agree not to disparage each other, I will pay you either option A, and these are some good options, so prep yourself, 15% of revenue from brand deals for the rest of Q1, which if you guys don't know, that's like 3 months.
I think her reasoning here is you only get 15 because you're not going to be in them. But it's like, girl, you wouldn't have gotten them if the podcast didn't exist to get the brand deals to begin with.
And what's absolutely insane, and I am sure that it is very similar for them, is that brands don't just usually book one slot. Like Lily and I have brand deals for most of
ZocDoc we have
2025.
booked
That's
for
how
a
it
year.
works. Yeah, we've literally had ZocDoc booked out. Oh, period. It's the sponsor for this
I know,
episode.
it's like sponsored by ZocDoc
We've had ZocDoc be our most consistent sponsor for like a year and a half, 2 years. They just buy the whole year. They're like, okay, we want one slot a month.
That was our first, because we got that one on our own without being
That was
in the
the
network.
only one we had.
I vividly
Yeah.
remember I was in Target when you texted me and you were like, they want to buy a year. And I'm like,
the whole year.
what? It was like
Like the whole-
life-changing.
Yeah, seriously. Even if it's just her and the brand deals doing the ad reads, it's still something you secured together. That's insane.
They didn't book the podcast, like, and especially Q1, we're pretty much booked out for Q1. That isn't something that's like, oh, well, now I'm the only one doing it. Yeah, just because you're reading it, it wasn't just you that built it to the point that you were able to get brand deals. So like,
Yeah,
no,
no.
not 15, 50.
But don't worry. She does offer a 50%
there's option B.
That's option B. 50% of revenue from the next 3 brand deals. 3 reads.
Again, I don't know how many
Three.
brand deals they were getting, but like that could be
I don't
one
care.
episode.
It is just insane that this is her buyout option. Again, because I don't know how many regular listeners they had or what their income looked like, but that doesn't really matter. They did have an audience enough to be able to start getting regular brand deals. And the fact that this is her buyout is insulting.
That
honestly.
she also
I feel that
is
way.
sending 24 days after.
That's a whole separate thing. Yeah. The
It's
added
insane.
layer of ghosting and unprofessionalism really makes this just like, it didn't read well on its own, but that makes it worse. She continues on to say, I make this offer to peacefully settle this dispute, which will hopefully help you continue to build too much while I have the option to separately continue with Unhinged. Please let me know by the end of Wednesday and I'll have an agreement. Well, you don't get to tell people when they let you know things.
Well,
Chloe?
especially when you didn't answer for almost a month. Scroll up for a second.
Yeah.
What day was this?
This was January
Monday.
27th.
Monday. Wednesday.
Oh, she gave her 2 days.
This is Monday at
very gracious.
8:16 p.m.
Oh, so you really just had Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is some Janet coded shit. That's the stuff she does.
On the 4th of July. You have 24 hours.
I'm like, bitch, I'm not answering this email. So
I was like, I'm
bye.
sorry, we didn't read this actually. Goodbye.
Okay, yeah, that response was nuts. I want to hear what she has to say about it.
She claimed that she owned all of the platforms because allegedly she started them.
That's how it works.
AKA signed us up. And that she was willing to give me 15% of the revenue for the next 3 months.
I'd be on a plane coming to strangle you.
Yeah. Yep.
Still, when I say this out loud, I am at a loss for words.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I have never been so insulted in my entire life. And like I said before, every aspect down to email responses to brands, the posting schedule, the editing schedule, every aspect of that podcast was a 50-50.
It shows a fundamental disregard for
Her
what
as a
she's
human.
contributed, but then also just a fundamental misunderstanding of like how revenue on podcasts work and like what would be legally, like how you would divvy that up.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to branch out on your own after a podcast, even if she wanted to keep the Unhinged name, which is a whole like separate thing, right? She didn't end up doing that. She changed it to Unbothered.
Which Emma was like basically like open to like, if you want to buy me out of it, then we can discuss that. That wasn't even, it was just like she assumed like, no, well, I'll just keep it.
Well, really, the only way, like we said, to have a dissolution that makes sense is to go your own way. There is no way for this to make sense in a way that doesn't royally piss off your audience. Like, let them know where you're going and they'll find you, girl, on your own podcast if they want to see you. But otherwise, bye, just let it die, because that's literally the only option. And then she goes on to talk about everything being deleted and the video. What is the video?
I'm not positive, but basically she goes on and sees that every podcast episode with like, they're all deleted. Every single one.
Yeah.
And then I think the video is a teaser of the new one.
On February 4th, 2025, I woke up to the unthinkable. My podcast, Unhinged, was gone. I was erased from its existence.
Sorry, that's a whole separate thing. Even just the replacing it is horrible in itself.
Deleting
a whole
everything?
separate thing would be to just delete it. We have no record that we ever did this fucking podcast other than the clips that people uploaded to, like, you know.
A lot
talk
of
about
this is
it.
like, again, like, you don't know. I have all of it downloaded.
Oh, yeah, you do. You do. Well, I have all of it in Google Drive, like the raw stuff.
The raw
Like, if I
footage,
ever
but it's like,
wanted
I
to,
have
but
literally
it's
like
not.
every episode downloaded and stuff too.
Yeah.
Mostly because of my like Janet highlight and all the compilations I made. But it's like, if I just deleted everything, that's like not only a fuck you, also to the audience, but then also the last year of your like career is just wiped.
Everything
and
you
you
worked
have
for
nothing
is just
to
gone.
show for it. And you're like, hey, this
Yeah.
is the podcast I was on. And it's like, where? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, even just to use it in that regard where it's like just an accolade or something you accomplished
Exactly.
to either show
It's
your friends or show business
gone.
partners or show anyone.
Yeah.
Like, just done.
Was a new podcast, Unbothered. And there was an actual video about me using my name on my platforms. So if it's not clear what this all means, all of the work that I had done for a year and a half, every word I
Their Instagram had 91.9 thousand followers.
Bro, the profile picture, just changing it to a selfie of you, like I would literally lose my mind. This is insane.
And then that it's called Totally Unbothered.
yeah, no, that's a whole other fuck you.
post graphic that I made, reel, was gone. The logo was changed. I was deleted
What
from
logo?
the bio. Every tagged video of me was gone. Every single one of the
there.
80
That one,
episodes that we
Yeah,
released
a
on
choice.
Spotify, Apple, and Amazon was gone. The podcast itself was changed across every single platform.
We just talked about this last episode, but my whole like technique for getting like deleted stuff with the Google Cache thing. Last year, I would have been able to go back and like get every single episode of that
The
podcast.
whole podcast. Yeah.
Now, that is not possible. If it is deleted, it is gone.
Yeah.
I tried to do it with Elizabeth Teckenbrock.
And they were sending me screenshots of the pro Emma comments being left on the video on Instagram and Spotify.
So the audience didn't respond well.
Well, that is because Chloe I haven't seen Chloe's full video, but she shows in this that, you know, like the email she sends where she's like, hey, I changed the passwords, but not in a, I changed the passwords, haha, you're not getting in. It was like, I changed the passwords, but like, I'm happy to give you the new ones if we can have this discussion. She cropped that part out. So she just says
wait.
she changed the passwords and then she didn't include the bottom half.
That were also one by one being deleted. So the next thing I did, I got a fucking lawyer. Since February 4th, I have been fighting 2 battles. Number 1 is to right the wrong that has been done to me. And number 2 is to make the success of too much my greatest revenge. I have tried to keep my head down, stay focused on my success, and be the bigger person. But I am human. And this has been harrowing. As much as I try to be strong every single day and just keep fucking pushing forward, I have not gotten a good night's sleep in 2.5 months.
I would have been
Watching something I created be stolen, grown, and even celebrated, I don't even have words for it. It's fucking awful. We sent a cease and desist letter on February 12th. Nothing happened.
Oh my God.
But that is where the communication began with my lawyer and my ex-co-host
We've
lawyer.
been over this before, but cease and desist technically it's like a legal warning. So it's like you have it documented that you did try to do something, but they don't really mean anything.
Yeah, I guess it could
They're
help
easy
you
to
in
ignore.
court if it's like you proceeded breaking whatever law and then they actually pursue you for it. It does look better in court just to
for
like show
sure.
like you got this warning. But yeah, someone could totally ignore it because half the time cease and desist are used as threats.
I
not
was
as
just going to
actual
say, it's
promises
essentially a
for
legal
battle.
threat, but it's not like you can't, like you don't have to comply with it, but it is going to make it look worse than if she does take you to court and it shows that you ignored it.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, that would piss me off. Okay. So Chloe offers Emma another buyout option. So I guess this is her
Option
attempt
C?
to reconcile.
Okay.
After 2 months of going back and forth on this settlement, we have come to an impasse. This past week, I was offered $5,000
Oh my God.
for Unbothered to continue operating on my owned accounts. $5,000 for a 600,000 follower brand.
That's
I will
insane.
say,
I'm sorry. That's fucking crazy.
and this isn't to take away from how fucking insane that is, but over 500,000 of that 600,000 is from TikTok.
Is TikTok. But TikTok pays pretty well.
Yeah,
If they were
I guess,
getting
and if they were going
consistent
viral, decent amount. But like,
Yeah.
when I heard that, I'm like thinking, because we don't even have 200,000 subscribers on this.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you offered me $5,000,
You'd come to my house and
I
gouge
would
my eyes
have,
out.
I would have been there before we even got to that point.
Well, the thing is that you have to understand there's so many different things that go into a podcast, especially like the more you build it, the more it's like different elements of it. You know what I mean?
And
We're
that you
doing
have a
bunch of different
library
types
of
things.
content that can make money. So like even we've talked about Alex Cooper and how she like stuck it out with Barstool for a certain amount of time because then Dave had agreed to like let her have the IP so she could shop around her shit wherever. And that's why she's been able to get these insane contracts because they license her entire library of content and can run ads on all of it. And it still gets views. Like maybe it's not the same amount of views as when the episode first launched, but as she gets bigger, they still like people go back and watch. I mean, people tell us that they go back and watch our episodes all the time.
Well, that's the thing. So the appeal of any podcast, especially ones that have been around for a little bit and you like stumble upon and you're like, wait, I really like this, is that you can go back. And I mean, I would say don't go back too far because some of our episodes, you know, like
You could maybe start at like 100.
Yeah, start at 100. I think that's like more or less okay. But yeah, it took us a while to figure out what we were doing. But no, like I think in general, having so much backlog content that you can watch is great. You know what I mean? That's how I feel right now watching Younger. I'm like, oh my God, there's 7 seasons.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So, and it might not be, this is getting another 100,000 views every couple days, but it does add up. You have a library of content that is still earning money.
Dude, I literally get a check from YouTube every month for my main channel that I haven't posted on in over a year. I mean, it's not a great check.
I was going to say, I mean, mine are literally under $100, but nonetheless.
Yep, mine are just right there.
Like that is also when I have not even touched that channel in 3 years, at least at this point.
Yeah, backlog content is valuable. So to say here's $5,000 and you will never see any, because essentially it's like royalties,
Residuals.
right? So like actors get paid, residuals for creating the content in the moment, and then every time it's played.
And they've been doing it
There's
a year.
eyes on it. No, this is just insane. I'm sorry.
$5,000 is fucking
it sounds. I
wild.
mean, okay, $5,000 is a lot of money, and like you see that, and you're like, oh shit.
Not to buy out a brand that you've established.
That's the thing. When you're talking about the end of an era, that's it. That's all you get from years of work. $5,000 is insulting.
It's $5,000 for any future money, but also for the IP, for the library of content. Like there's so many aspects that it's like, that is the biggest fuck you ever. Like to not even do a percentage, to do just a flat $5,000, that's it. Like again, I don't know how much money they were making, but like I'm assuming that was a fuck you. That wasn't like a really generous
Well, it sounds
offer.
like it was to her. Yeah.
We were quoting brands at $8,000 to $12,000
What?
per TikTok.
Okay.
And that
Maybe we need to get on TikTok, Jesse.
Does anybody know how to do short form content? I would
Literally,
love that.
I feel
That
like a
would be
couple people have
great.
reached out, but like,
Oh, yeah.
We
need to just do it.
Yeah.
Like, can we just do it?
because our problem, honestly, the reason we haven't is because
just
we're
doing
so
things.
self-conscious that we're like, we don't think we're entertaining.
Every time someone posts us on TikTok, we're like, oh no. Why
Or
did
it's
they
like,
do that?
I don't even know what clips out of the episode to pick because I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Dude,
what
I
do
know.
people
But
think
you
is-
know what? I'm jotting
That's
that
why
down.
we need someone else to do it.
Yeah. Email us.
I don't like asking for free stuff. So literally just one very quick one even. If you wanted to send like a sample.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cut like
would be
a clip
great.
from a past episode, one of your
Or
faves.
if you've done it for another podcast too, and you could send us something that's like a podcast.
Totally. That's like an equivalent example.
Yes.
We're very interested. How much
Our
did she
emails
just
below.
say?
Yeah. 8 to 12,000 a TikTok.
We're hiring.
Mama. No, we have been wanting to put our, me just like justifying it. No, we have been wanting to put our content on TikTok forever, like short form content.
It's just
but
been
it's
a weird
like such an
personal
added
block,
thing that we're
I think,
like, oh.
also.
Yeah, we have a lot of those. But yeah. Okay. So so 5,000 is insane.
That's fucking insane. Yeah. Before we go any further, we have a word from our sponsor, ZocDoc.
ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment.
And I know for me personally, it's really come in handy for my dental journey, but you actually just used them recently for something too.
Yeah, I went last week for an in-person visit right here in my town. I did not know that office even existed. I found it through ZocDoc. It showed me all the available times and dates that she was available, and then I booked right then and there. And it was something that I had been avoiding for a very long time, so it helped me finally get it out of the way.
And that's one of the great parts because, I mean, otherwise, like, how do you find doctors?
I don't know.
I feel like you don't just like Google it. So it's nice because ZocDoc has a bunch of verified patient reviews so you can see who's highly rated. And you also just put in your zip code, your insurance to see who takes that. And then, as Jesse said, the schedule pops up and they're usually available within like 24 to 72 hours.
So stop being like me and putting off your doctor's appointments and head over to ZocDoc.com/GWKT to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/DWKT, ZocDoc.com/DWKT.
And thank you so much to ZocDoc for being an amazing sponsor of this podcast.
Because I was even
12
saying like, I wasn't trying to shit on any of it. I wasn't trying to minimize any of it, but like, their podcast didn't get necessarily that many views. It was the TikTok. But if the TikTok's pulling in 8 to 12,
Then go off, girl. Yeah.
Girl, I take it back. I'm so sorry.
Now, in business, if you cannot afford or you refuse to pay someone for their half of the business, the result is not that you get to just refuse and keep going and keep using the
No,
business
it's not.
and running it as usual. You forfeit the right to keep the business, for either of us to keep the business. It gets dissolved. Yet
start over.
Unbothered is still up and running on those accounts. And that is why I'm here, telling you the account of what is currently going on, the truth that is being kept from you. I hate that I even feel I need to explain this to you, but we truly split everything. All of the editing. We would get an episode back from the studio, one person.
Here's another thing is for us, it is such like a collaborative situation because we're doing everything except for our TikTok that we need to get help with.
Yeah, we're not doing
Send
that.
us your email.
Oh my God, they're so organized, Lily. What the
No, but that's the
fuck?
thing. They go to studios. They have editors. They aren't doing it all themselves. So there's a lot of other money and stuff that's gone into it. And I think that's what's so crazy is like, she's just like, oh, well, I don't need you as the host anymore, so I'm just going to continue it without. But like, something tells me that Chloe didn't make this.
No, she definitely didn't. She seems like the type to do the chart, which I guess to Chloe is not valuable at all.
It's
so
insane.
insane because things like this, like, I mean, we don't have anything quite like, again, I'm a wannabe type A, okay? I have to take it on because Lily's way more type B than I am. And so, you know, there's certain things like emails like that.
Yes.
You suck and I suck at them. But I suck a little bit less at emails than you do. So I'm just like, I'll fucking do it. Like, I'll just deal with them.
You are great with the consistency of the emails, but then if we need to do like a full, like lengthy response or like,
You mean like fight a lawsuit or something?
perhaps that could be something, then it's like,
Then you
okay,
do
Lily, will you do this? And I'm like, yes.
We're just doing our best over here. And we don't even have, like, I mean, we have very clear roles, but we also have things that we switch around. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, hey, I can't do this. Can you do that?
Yeah.
And I feel like we always lead with like the vested interest is the podcast.
Yeah.
And like, this is my priority. This is contrary to what some people think. This is our job. This is what we do. And so I just, I can't imagine just being like, well, Lily, thanks, bye, $5,000,
and
get
also,
out of here.
when you look at something like this and like, yes, we do it all ourselves, which is very time consuming. But also part of the reason we haven't gotten help is because it is really, really hard to find people and get them like fit into your workflow and like
it doesn't
not
exist,
micromanage people, but just manage people in general. It's very difficult. So like that alone is a job.
Yeah, no, it's insane. We have my brother who helps us cut the episodes, and then I like review his cut, and then I cut more, and then I add assets and all that stuff. My brother, I was just talking to him the other day. I'm like, you're the only person I could think of that this even makes sense for, because it's like, do you remember when we like interviewed editors and the one guy that was just like, wait, so I have to work weekends to get it up on Monday? I'm like,
you guys, whenever it was like, you guys
yes.
need to stop taking on so much. You need to hire an editor. I'm like, I don't think you understand.
And well, I was just talking to Joey about that too. I was like, this isn't a normal, like we edit a lot more than the average podcast. So like, I do understand that as well. Like we're doing long YouTube videos, essentially.
That's what I told the guy on the phone call, and he was kind of like, okay. And I'm like, no, I don't think you get it. And then that was even not even including they're like, oh, well, no, that wouldn't be coloring.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
He seemed baffled that was even on the table. And I'm like,
multiple people were just like, what do you need? Why? Where? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. But I also feel like we just in general operate on like, let's get what we need to get done for the show. And like, it has killed us on multiple occasions, but that's what we do because we care about the show.
Well, and also, I mean, that's been my demise with why I got so burned out at Clever, because I did take on way more.
Too much.
Even when people didn't ask me to, I was like, yeah, but if I don't do it, it's not going to be the quality that everyone has come to know. And not like, oh my God, I'm so good at everything. It's just like, literally, you can't pay people to be as invested as you're going to be in your own content.
But that's why it's the ultimate fuck you when your partner who is like understanding that weight. Because like, I feel like no matter if anybody works on it, the weight of the podcast, like who actually, for instance, gets I don't know, criticism. If something goes wrong, it's us.
It's like it reflects back on you
and along the way.
And that's exactly why I would like be like, oh, well, yeah, I could let it go to shit and have them like learn that it's not going to look the same. But then I look bad in the process. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But imagine one of us not valuing that other person who also carried that weight with you. Like, I feel like that's the ultimate fuck you, because like looking at this editing schedule, it's just like they both were invested in it. They both put a lot of work into it. And then for one person to just be like, well, here's $5,000 and be on your way.
To act like the other person is so replaceable and just like,
it's awful.
And then to try and pay them off with something as insulting as $5,000 when one TikTok you're making almost double that is insane.
One person would do the first pass at the graphic, then the other person would do the second pass. This whole thing was flip-flop the second week. Everything had such checks and balances in place.
She's like,
I
made
did
sure
at a minimum 50% of
for real.
all of the graphic design, including coming up with the logo. My acid story on TikTok made us $5,000 and got us around 200,000 followers. The story about me sleeping with a murderer, that got us 100,000
I'm so
followers.
dead. Pardon?
And
Ma'am?
a couple
Are you
grand.
okay?
I brought something to the table, and I know my worth, and it
I
is
was like,
far
are all the episodes
more
deleted?
than $5,000.
I know. I kind of wanted to look back on
For
that.
the next 3 months. There is still to this day no acknowledgement of my 50-50 share. My co-host continues to capitalize and monetize on what we built together. And the audience I helped grow thinks that I'm the villain because of her words, which is why I'm speaking out now. This has gone on far too long. I don't know what's going to happen after I post this.
Okay. So
can we see
what
it?
are her words?
Okay, girl, this isn't even good branding. Unbothered Club, Unbothered Podcast, Unbothered. There's 3 different names here.
Wait, she does have Alexa Losi. Chloe with Alexa Losi.
That I didn't even know until today when I saw the document. I was like, so she replaced the co-host. She didn't just get rid of her.
No.
And she did it with someone that does have a following.
So it looks like Chloe deleted any initial rumblings about her addressing Emma directly or even indirectly, because on Emma's screenshot of Chloe's takeover of the Instagram, there was only one video, and she mentioned that video mentioning her name. She's like, she said my name in there.
Yeah.
But that video is gone. I think she also didn't see it going this bad. So I think in the beginning, she might have had more support from their audience, maybe telling them certain aspects of it that weren't maybe 100% true, just speculation. Dude, this is like Hot off the fucking press though, because Chloe, let me download this.
Oh my
Hold
God,
on.
4 hours ago.
Yeah. Hold on,
Guys,
let
I'm
me
so much more
download
invested
it.
in this than I thought I would be.
And it's called Don't Tell Lies About Me and I Won't Tell Truths About You. Okay, Kendrick fucking Lamar.
Oh my God,
calm
and
down.
it starts with text on screen. How dramatic.
Oh my God, I will read the opening message while Lily downloads that.
Okay.
It says, 3 weeks ago, I sent a cease and desist to my ex-co-host, citing 5 laws that were broken. I stayed quiet even as thousands of people have called me a thief and a liar. Today I'm telling the full story with every receipt. Oh boy, this should be good.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
Well-
what if we like end up totally on her side and we just shit on her for an hour?
Well, then this is going to be quite the episode.
This might just be one topic. I'm scared. She also has timestamps. So they're both, timestamp savvy.
Well, maybe she took note.
Maybe she did. Okay, it says, ooh, the financial truth, what we actually
Oh,
made.
I'm just curious. No, I'm just being nosy for that one.
Unhinged started in June 2023 and it went until January 2025. From those 19 months, we made a total of $69,465.84. In expenses, we had, and this is being generous because this isn't including Ubers to and from the studio, food, dinner, all those things surrounding shoot dates,
Food and dinner.
$19,490.
Expenses.
I was just starving.
Literally, well, yeah, but also, oh my God. Okay, my head kind of hurts. So to start a podcast, if you want to be on video and audio, you need to invest in equipment, right? You need to buy the Shure mic. What is this? $400.
It's because they were doing studio space and paying for shooters, for audio
That's insane.
engineers.
Don't do that when you're just starting out as a podcast.
But that's the problem
Don't
is
do
a
that.
lot of people don't know how, like, the
think
amount
they
of
have to.
electronics I have surrounding me right now, honestly,
But even
excessive.
us, we started with, okay, we had the basics because we were already YouTubers. We had lights and we had a camera. I had a mic that I started. It was the Blue Yeti mic. I didn't even buy a mic right off the bat. I think I bought it like 3 or 4 episodes
I had the
in.
mic from doing with Shared, so I didn't have to buy that.
Yes. And then we had little Zoom pod tracks that were like mixers, but they're very tiny. A lot of you guys have seen our Mackie mixers that we were gifted, but into this, like years into this.
And we also had those because you need that just for audio recording for normal videos.
Yeah, and if you listen back to episodes and we sound like we're in a toilet, it was because of those. And we have invested over time. This has been very, very slow. The biggest thing I invested in the beginning, I think, was Halloween costumes and like live streaming equipment for us to be able to even live stream.
Oh, yeah.
And the microphone. I would say that $2,000 is more than enough to like get yourself basically like just a basic
But that's
setup
if you're doing it yourself.
and if you have a camera already. So if you don't have a camera, I'll say 3,000.
Because that's what the thing with Clever, it was like anytime we had a shoot, that's why we had to shoot so many at once, is to make it worthwhile. Because even in the beginning, we like barely could afford to, like, we had one camera guy and there was cameras because they already had those, but like we were only paying like one shooter and like not even necessarily a sound guy. But by the time it was successful, we had 3 camera people, a sound person. I feel like a lot of networks make you feel like you need that, which like if you're starting out from scratch and you don't, like, that's insane because you're going to be in the hole immediately.
Yeah. Well, also, I do really quickly want to note before I forget, the receipt we're looking at looks like it was typed in notes.
It's
app.
giving
so
Clinton
this isn't
cake.
any sort of financial. Yeah, it's not a financial statement. It's not something that is saying, okay, like an email where they were breaking down. Even that would have been good. This is literally her typing total income, $69,465. Expenses, almost $20,000 out of that. Again, if you're starting a podcast, please don't do that. That is insane.
When we also don't know if did they start an LLC together? How was the money being distributed? Like she's saying after taxes, but it's like, was that taken out of an LLC or was it like...
Yeah, but also this would completely go against what Emma just said, which is that they would make 8,000 to 12,000 per TikTok. Like not like for views, but on a brand deal. Even just 2 or 3 of those would have made this completely different.
I kind of feel like, is this leaving out the TikTok aspect of it? And this is just
That would
talking
be
about
insane.
the podcast itself.
That would be crazy. It
I
says
agree.
total profits
I agree.
unhinged made from June to January. No. That would be insane. Okay, now she starts getting into emotional abuse and workplace misconduct that she experienced. This is potentially bad. Let's
And
see.
one last thing I do want to say about the money is that, like, TikTok money aside, if they were making a lot from that, and that is where they had the most followers, like the money you're getting through Spotify and through listens is not as
Isn't a
much as you're
ton.
getting on YouTube.
Well, so that's the thing that we were like, we didn't want to flat out say that when we were discussing the finances and being like, did they even make that much money kind of thing? Emma is insinuating that they did. Even if they didn't, it would still be insulting the $5,000 buyout. But she's alleging that they made like $600 a month. So that, you know what I mean? That makes $5,000 buyout make sense.
Yeah, and
a
like
little bit
thinking
more.
back, it's like we didn't make money like for a while. We also don't have 500,000 TikTok followers, so I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
the TikTok
kind of
aspect is
key
a little
component.
fuzzy for me.
Yeah.
Throughout the entirety of our relationship, we did not get along. The way that I was treated in general was really
So let's start a
concerning
podcast
to my
together.
friends, to my family, to my boyfriend. I was constantly being snapped at, yelled at, called names. I was accused of gaslighting her. Anytime I expressed something that made me feel uncomfortable or upset, I was shifted into being the bad guy. I felt like I was always walking on eggshells, and I never knew when I was going to do something that was going to upset her. And if I
Not
communicated
saying
that
this
to
didn't
her,
happen, but these are a lot of claims with zero receipts.
that was a whole other ordeal.
that's
I
true.
have witnessed her yell at producers. The first day that I moved back to LA, I woke up to a phone call from her screaming at me.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Guys, this receipt on the screen. I'm already tired. I didn't sleep. This is like my contacts just like blurred together.
I don't even know
or is
if
that
we
what the
could
screen
read
looks
it.
like?
It's kind of giving, what's his name, Addis Paul, where it's like so blurry that
Oh my God, you can't.
I could kind of read it, but it's not an easy read.
Okay, well, we'll have Lily
Decode it
what is
later.
it? Decode the hieroglyphics when we're done with this.
Do some
But
translating.
as of right now, I cannot understand any of this.
Where I outline that. I'm going to read some of it. I say, the first thing I'd like to address
A little
is
bit more
jumping
zoomed
to
in here.
conclusions and lashing out with
Good.
anger.
Thank you.
I
Makes my
feel
life
that
easier.
far before there is any time for a miscommunication to be resolved, I'm stonewalled and met with anger from you. It feels like you're set in your ways about whatever has happened with no room for talking any issues out, leaving me to shove down how I feel and
quick
move
question.
on if I want peace.
When was that from? Could we make that
Girl.
hieroglyphic out on the original one?
January 5th, 2024.
So a year ago.
Communication to be resolved, I'm stonewalled and met with anger from you. It feels like you're set in your ways about whatever has happened with no room for talking any issues out, leaving me to shove down how I feel and move on if I want peace to resume. The first time I ever tried to confront you with something I was unhappy with, I was met with that. It did not set a great precedent. The next day, you asked to reschedule hours before filming and blew up my phone with texts and calls. I was immensely disappointed and uncomfortable to find out it was because you were creating space in your day, just in case, name redacted, texted you and decided to get you a blade to the Hamptons. She basically
What? What
made
is
it seem
that?
like an emergency that we need to reschedule our
does that
filming.
mean?
And it was
Is
because
that-
she needed to
are
open
we
up
too
her
poor to
day in
understand?
case the guy that she was
Is that like a
sounds like a
helicopter
rich thing.
to the
I'm
Hamptons?
not sure. A blade. Oh, like a helicopter blade.
seeing got her a helicopter to the Hamptons.
Oh, it was a helicopter.
I missed a big client call because I thought it was an emergency and I felt that you didn't respect me or my time. When I tried to call that out and communicate my feelings to you, you got upset and told me you don't value men over business and walked off. I don't tolerate anger well professionally, and I've
For the
seen it slip
record-
out a few times now.
If I had the rare opportunity to have a date, much less be on a helicopter to the Hamptons, I think we could reschedule a call, right?
For us, I think that
I'm totally
it's
kidding.
different. Like our perspective is different because we film in our homes. However, I even think that would like piss me off. You know what I mean? Like if someone did just be like, oh yeah, we're going to film. Sorry, can't film. I'm waiting to see if someone texts me. I would just be like,
oh, no.
is
If
this
it was
our
not, if the
job or
plans
no?
were not solidified. But I'm like, given the circumstances, you would be like, oh my God, you have a potential
okay, if
date?
you met like
Very,
a
very
billionaire that
different.
wanted, well, first of all, I wouldn't want you to fly on a helicopter. It just seems
Oh my
unsafe.
God.
Like it just, you know, I
We
mean,
don't
honestly,
need to go down the skydiving route.
it
I'm
just seems
joking,
like a
but
bad
it's like
choice.
even that would be like such a very unique one-off.
Well, we've had a
thing.
bunch of instances where it's like, hey, I'm just like, there's been days where maybe I'll wake up fine or Lily will wake up fine. And then like as the day progresses, it's just feels like shit or
Yeah.
not even sick wise. You're just so tired.
We
You're
do
like, I
have more
can't.
flexibility because we do film from home.
And so we do that.
And especially because then you aren't rebooking studio space, other employees.
That's the thing.
That's a much bigger disruption to the workflow than it is for us to just
sure.
shift a couple hours.
Yeah. So I can absolutely see why she was upset here.
I let you know my flight would not be landing until 3 a.m.
flight.
Plus, I had an hour drive to my family, so I would be sleeping in late and would not be available until later in the day. I woke up, and my first memory of moving back to LA and starting a new chapter was you yelling at me. It goes on to say that I need her to practice self-control, that I've seen her turn bright red, become furious. I also call out that I'm immunocompromised and that when I get stressed, my body has very bad physical reactions and that I work with a doctor to regulate my cortisol levels. That it's a very high priority in my life to keep things smooth, calm, and as stress-free as possible. Here's an overlay of a photo of what happens
my
to my
God.
body in these
Jesus.
situations. and she's
Wow.
well aware of that. I have seen people comment that I moved to LA because I'm fame hungry. I'm from LA. I grew up in LA. I moved to New York City for 2 years to try it out. I moved back to LA because of my family's health issues. My boyfriend moved back with me to be with his family.
Yeah, this is getting messy because hers
This
are
is
much
getting messy.
more emotional day-to-day stuff. And the other one was much more financial, and like, even if she was being treated like, it does seem like this is potentially like a very toxic work relationship / non-friendship. But I don't think that necessarily excuses her from like not answering for 24 days.
Well, that's the thing. So I understand that she may have been uncomfortable with the work environment in general, but I think the way that she dealt with it, and then also the way that I don't think there's any excuse for continuing on the podcast at all.
If anything,
especially
when
if
you
you
think
had
that
such
that
a
would
toxic,
make
like,
you
why don't you
want
want
to
to
take
just cut
a step
it?
back and be like,
Yeah,
I don't want to be a part of this anymore because this has been a tainted thing for me, and that's always
100%. I think this is turning into a one topic episode. We're like very invested.
Oh, fuck. And also, because the next one was going to be real messy too. And also, I think that may be still developing. So this could, I agree.
But you know what? I'm having a good time. So now she talks about the LA fires and her being locked out of the account. Because if we remember, Emma was the one to first lock her out of the account.
Of 2 of the accounts that were
two
of
of
the
them.
TikTok and the Instagram, I think she said.
Emma says in her video that I capitalized on other people's trauma to benefit me and how I was painted in the situation. Here's a view of the fire from where I was at. And here's a picture of me shoving all of my most important belongings, my childhood books and stuffed animals, my cat's ashes into a suitcase to evacuate immediately like the rest of my neighborhood. Here is a screenshot of while I am working out where I'm going with my friends. You can see at the top it says that I've been removed from Emma Klipstein's Canva team. While I'm evacuating, she is actively removing me from things and also sending me an email the day of where there is no ask of like, hey, are you okay? I saw what's going on. I'm sure you need some time to figure things.
She didn't show this one. Emma didn't.
So I do agree that that's a little like maybe at least
insensitive.
Yeah, extend the courtesy of being like, hope you're okay. But the original emails and everything, like this one says, it's been 5 days since I sent this email. I'd be curious.
So it was a little before the fires.
When was the I'm like kind of want to.
January 3rd would have been the day.
Ooh, no. So that is a rough day to be like. It started the 7th.
Yeah. So if this has been 5 days since she sent this email and she sent this on January 8th.
Oh, she should have answered in the first 3 days, I think, leading up to it. Yeah. But when she sent this one, it's right in the middle of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So in this email that she has on screen, it says, Chloe, it has been 5 days since I sent this email. I would appreciate a response before we engage with brands, alluding to disarray in our internal affairs. So I don't know what that is about. Like, I think that maybe it's similar to what her message was during the fires, which is like, we're going to continue on. Everything's great. When Emma's already made it known that like, no, we're not going to continue the podcast. She says, I also find the increase in engagement with our audience from your personal account in the broadcast channel and the recent personal tags that you've added to your reels without responding to me to be extremely unprofessional and clearly self-promoting. We need to prioritize getting a plan in place regardless of the direction we take. Honestly, I think that's fair. If you're going through a situation in the fires, that's really unfortunate. But if you also have the time to be engaging in that way, and that was happening around the same time, then that would suck. Like, just to see, you'd be like, well, you have time to do that. Then why aren't you answering me?
Things out. Get back to me on this when you can. None of that. Just a demand to get back to her. She says it's been 5 days since her initial email that she sent on Friday, January 3rd. This was 3 days into the work week after a holiday and on the day of a mass evacuation. She then goes on to promote a fire fundraiser in the broadcast channel and express her concern for all of those in LA while simultaneously doing this to me. She opens DMs from listeners who are messaging to see if I'm okay, and she leaves them on red. I'm evacuated and I don't return home until the wind warnings end on January 16th. When we got home, we dropped everything and we started volunteering all week.
I don't know anyone that was evacuated for more than a couple days, unless they're in the Palisades, which maybe she is. But to say the 16th.
Oh, so she's saying she was evacuated for like over a week?
Yeah.
And that's not
I don't believe I know anyone that was evacuated for more than a few days unless they literally lived in the Palisades and like lost their house.
Interesting.
My legal counsel was also affected by the fires. She claimed that I was self-promoting in the broadcast channel and telling people to follow me. I posted telling listeners in LA to let me know if they needed anything and checking in to make sure that they were safe. I never told anyone to follow me.
Unfortunately, because you deleted everything, we don't have proof for that. So that's a rough situation when you're trying to prove now. It's like backfiring on you. You're trying to prove that you didn't say something, but who knows? I don't know what you said. All I know is the correspondence that you have and what Emma has.
If you were evacuated, but you're on there offering help to your followers.
Yeah.
Feels like
about?
Not that some people weren't doing everything they could, but it feels like if she was so preoccupied,
Like overextending herself in a way that's not realistic.
Unless she wasn't really evacuated at that point and it wasn't really like it was affecting her, but not as directly. I hate even speculating about it, but
I know it could have absolutely, and I'm sure it was a horrible time that was right. It looked like it was very close to her building. I just don't think that it's realistic to say that you couldn't have answered an email in a month.
Yeah. When we don't know when that day was, she says that she was evacuated. She almost makes it seem like it was from like the 8th until the 16th. And that's like 8 days is a long, I don't know.
Yeah, no, not realistic.
Claims that she locked me out of the accounts because of, quote, unauthorized posts. Not only is it literally impossible for me to be unauthorized to post, but the posts that were going up were 2 days before the TikTok ban on TikTok. It was normal content and it was asking followers to migrate to Instagram. That way, there was still an audience that existed.
That's not what we saw.
Well, also, why would that need to be a thing if it's very clear the podcast is going to end?
Because
why
she
does it
clearly
matter
never intended
if
for it to
TikTok
end.
ends?
She was always going to keep it.
So that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the underlying thing of like, no, that's fucked up.
Well, and
You don't
also,
do that.
she's like, how could it be unauthorized? It's like, how? Because you made the accounts? It's unauthorized because you didn't get it approved, and she was even trying to get you to approve other ones.
Dude, when I tell you everything that is posted on our joint, anything that's joint with us, it's pretty much run by both of us. Like hey, I'm going to put up a community post. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We know exactly what's happening.
I don't think we've ever posted unless
which,
like one of us has been sick or something.
I think the most that I could say that I didn't ask for your permission is like if I jump in the Patreon chat or answer a patron's comments.
Oh,
like
not even. I'm thinking of like even like community posts. Like I posted one the other night. You were asleep, and the update.
Yeah, but you texted me that you did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it wasn't some like dramatic thing that we needed like approval for.
Yeah, like,
and it was like I wrote it.
Yeah,
it was clear it was for me. And then like I've been sick, and you posted, and I didn't like approve the verb. But it's like you wrote it. It's
right.
People know it's not a big deal. Even when we do stuff like that, aside from those very specific circumstances, I mean, we have a text, like our text conversation is just never ending. It's just a constant flow of information.
There's no hello and goodbye. Well, sometimes when you wake up from a long, long slumber, you'll say, hi.
Hello, I'm back. No, but to act like there couldn't have been an unauthorized. Well, I mean, when you literally are getting legal emails and like she's trying to figure it out, and then you're just posting.
If you're posting at all, that's bad. And I will also say that it might have been not approved by her for Emma to make the fire, like whatever, the donation things. But I think that still is a silly thing to bring up, because regardless if you think it's performative or whatever the fuck, if she's really raising money for people in the fires, like who cares? Why is that even a point?
Well, not to mention that she was just saying that she was on the other platform offering to help people in the fires. Like she was doing the same thing.
Honestly, I think that Chloe just mentioned it because she feels like Emma didn't care about her safety in the fires.
For sure.
And that is why she felt slighted, which I get. But also just in general, I don't really think that's like a point that is equal to her posting, insinuating that there's more content to come. Like those aren't equal.
I think that's the like big red flag. It's like, what content though? Like I guess they had banked content,
I told you I quit.
So they weren't totally out of episodes yet. But like
they didn't agree on how they were going to roll anything out. Like it was all very sloppy.
I mean, there was a conversation that Emma was trying to have with her, and she was refusing to have it.
Right.
So the next day, on January 17th, I wake up to this email. And by the way, she accused me of doctoring this email because I cropped some of it. The second half of the email says the same thing as the first. I'm not hiding anything.
No. It says, if you wish to access these accounts, I am happy to provide you with the necessary credentials. Please set up a time for a Zoom or a phone call to ensure secure transfer of information. She cut that part out.
The part that she highlighted for people to read says, to be clear, this is in the first half of the email that she hadn't cropped out. I have taken the step of changing the login credentials to our social media accounts to prevent further unauthorized activity from either party as a direct response to your actions until we can come to a resolution regarding the future of Unhinged.
It does say the same thing, but it does kind of make it seem a little more hostile. It doesn't say like, but I'm ready to give them to you.
That is missing a very key sentence. And that sentence, if you scroll to the part that she had cropped out allegedly, says, if you wish to regain access to these accounts, I am happy to provide you. with those credentials. That is not the same thing.
Before that says, I've made every reasonable attempt to avoid escalating this situation, but your continued lack of response and disregard for our agreement has left me with no other option. That is a crucial
So if you
part.
crop
And to
all that
act
out,
like you don't need any of that.
Insane.
No one says you doctored the email. You just you omitted a very crucial context.
Big part.
I just didn't think anyone cared this much about it. But
Stop it.
Oh
feel free
my
to read the
God.
whole email. There's
That is
nothing
insane.
here that I don't want anyone to see. What I think is really crazy is that this email says, quote, to be clear, I have taken the step of changing the login credentials to our social media accounts to prevent further unauthorized activity from either party as a direct response to your actions until we can come to a resolution regarding the future of Unhinged. I'm pretty sure there's a word for locking someone out of their accounts and saying that you'll return access to them if and only if they will agree to your demands.
That's not what it said.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on. Is she accusing her of like blackmailing her or something? Or
extortion?
Extortion. Yes, that one. Because she put on screen, after this, I understood from my legal team that I then needed to immediately secure all accounts. This isn't a foreign fucking person going into your accounts. This is someone who has clearly stated, hi, I'm trying to like get your attention. I'm happy to give this to you. We need to discuss.
Wait,
Like,
run
what?
that back.
Your actions until we can come to a resolution regarding the future of Unhinged. I'm pretty sure there's a word for locking someone out of their accounts and saying that you'll return access to them if and only if they will agree to your demands.
That is not what that says.
That's not what she said.
She said, come to a resolution. That was not come to my personal resolution that I am demanding. That is insane.
She's actually on multiple occasions stated, I don't care if we don't agree on like exact.
I'm
let's just
open to
reach
a
some
conversation,
conclusion.
discussion. The lack of reading
sorry,
comprehension or the willful, she's being purposely obtuse. Like,
Ignoring it. Yeah, for sure.
that is insane.
That's actually very upsetting. Then it says the competing podcast she created behind my back and why her actions void any claim to an implied partnership.
in quotes.
Wow.
Implied partnership is in quotes.
I want to know, Chloe, and I need some hard evidence because this has been a little weak at this point. I need to know exactly why you think you own that brand.
Well, because
and
she made
Emma
the
has
accounts,
no fucking
remember?
stake in it. Yeah, she signed them up. If it's that, I'm going to literally just start running around naked. I feel like I've said that for the last 3 episodes.
No, literally, people are like, Jesse, what is this
What's
new
going on?
thing that you keep saying?
I'm just going to get naked. What about it? Come on.
This was the day that she launched her podcast, Too Much.
You hadn't
January
responded
23rd.
to her for a month at this point, girly.
And she was very kind in not launching too much with an expose on your ass. So I will say thank you, Emma.
That was the 23rd that she launched that. The next day is when she finally responded. So it took that to get her to respond.
And I know you're not mad at her starting a new podcast when you literally closed her out
Replaced her?
from all of them. Yeah, no.
No idea about it until people started
Well, it's none of your
texting me.
fucking business because you
Here's
would
a
have known
screenshot
about
of
it
the
maybe if you
transcript
responded
from
to
her first
any of her
episode.
emails or texts.
This is where it gets really interesting. She says that she started working on her podcast 7 months ago. She says 7 months ago, I started ideating and evolving the podcast. So 7 months from the launch date of January 23rd would have been June 23rd.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't matter. Even if I had been from conception of Do We Know Them plotting a secret podcast, cares.
Here's an email that I sent in September
Not all the
where I'm
redactions.
begging her to do more work. And it literally states that I started doing majority of the work on June 20th.
Is this a reverse receipt?
It says, hi, Emma. A call is definitely needed, but there are some things I need to lay out, and this is possibly too lengthy for text, sending it here. I'm doing my best to get as much done as I can without your full support. I don't mind helping out more where there are big life events like moving and communication around that, though there was no notice in advance of dates you'd be moving or unavailable in the calendar, and it seems you are fully moved in now. Yesterday, you were offline for most of the set working hours without letting me know ahead of time. Yeah, so she's basically saying you're kind of ghosting and not doing what you needed to do. It says, I have created and posted 8 of the 10 filler graphics on your feed since June 20th. One of the 2 that you made was one we worked on together that I also posted. I just looked back at the Instagram static dates, yada, yada. 62 TikToks have gone up, and I guess she posted those. Oh no, she posted 34 of those, and Emma posted 28. Pretty close to numbers.
Yeah, I was like, that's
I would
pretty
say.
50-50.
Pretty
It's more than
equal.
15%.
But she says, so we're closer in output there. You handle majority of the group chat posts in August, and I really appreciate that. They're also like nickel and dime a lot. Not nickel and dime with like money, but nickel and dime with like priorities, I guess, because it says, I wound up having to cut all of the clips by myself, even though this was your ad read.
Ad reads are a minute long.
Also, yes, but Also, it's like, it's just the episode. Like, somebody just cut it. Like, I just can't.
It's both your podcast. Like, it needs to get done. And like, if she's moving, also, I think it's interesting that she mentions moving when isn't she the one that moved to LA, which would have been much more disruptive than a move just from an apartment to an apartment to then now there's also a time difference.
Yeah, I understand that this is definitely indicative of frustrations that she had, that the particular work that Emma was doing, because Emma was still doing work even in this worst case scenario that she's showing us. It just wasn't what needed to be done. So I think, listen, work dynamics can shift, like priorities. We have shifted our roles and what we do a million times over the years of this podcast. So I understand that shifting and needing to maybe have a discussion of like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling overwhelmed or whatever the fuck. That's fine. But also I jump back to Emma's receipt where it was like a clear schedule where it's like this person edits this amount 1 week and then I edit the next amount. And I don't know, it seemed pretty organized. Like, are you saying she just bounced for a week and didn't do anything?
Well, and also based on this email, I mean, I feel like we can kind of ignore the TikTok thing because that is relatively even. But depending on what these filler graphics are, and then it's like emails with a few people, these emails could have been literally like,
oh my God, I didn't even see that. That's who she redacted. So it says, I have handled emails with blank, 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 blank. That energy is so bad for morale.
It's giving a tally of I've done this for you and you haven't done this for me.
So bad for morale.
Yeah.
And I get it. People are human. Like, you can feel that way. And then like, if it needs to be a discussion, then it needs to be a discussion.
I think it should be a little more of a general discussion than so specific to be like, I'm keeping track of everything.
I handled emails with Bob and Sandra and Mark and Mike. And it's like, okay, girl, thanks. I don't know. It was just too much.
20th. One of the two that you made was one we worked on together that I also posted. And it just goes on and on. It says at the beginning, I'm doing my best to get as much done as I can without your full support. Here's the thing about her claim to an implied partnership, which I deny because we deliberately operated, it says this on screen. Sorry, I'm very hyped up. We deliberately operated under two separate LLCs and made a conscious decision not to formally establish or function as a unified business entity together. That does not matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, just what bank account it's going into doesn't
literally
affect.
Do we know them podcast LLC? No, we don't.
No, I told you, literally, Jesse could move all of our shit to the Cayman Islands and I'd be fucked.
I literally couldn't.
I'd lock you out of all the accounts.
I mean, I could, but I wouldn't. No, but like, seriously, that is an insane thing to say. Whether you're a sole proprietor, okay, you're just working as a independent contractor, doing your own thing, you don't have an LLC, or whether you do, it does not matter in terms of like, this is a partnership that we have and it's very clear. Like, there's evidence for that.
Yeah, you have an entire like history of correspondence.
We have literal
and,
evidence.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, literally, even just in taxes alone, like, there is proof that Lily is tied to doing, like, it's just, I'm sorry, that's all insane.
Yeah.
Under separate LLCs with a clear intention to maintain distinct business entities.
Girl, did ChatGPT tell you that?
Even if there was an implied partnership, which again I deny,
even if
her choice to stop doing 50% of the workload to work on a competing business behind her partner's back would have materially breached it by maybe breach of fiduciary duty, breach of duty of good faith, constructive abandonment. There is no implied partnership.
Yeah, literally, it's a list ChatGPT gave her. That's insane.
Mind you, she was collecting 50% of the revenue with no problem. And after my lawyer called this out, she tried to go back on that in her newer episode, saying that she had just started working on it in recent weeks. Here are more examples.
It doesn't matter when she started working on her podcast. That literally does not matter.
It could have been literally just her in her spare time, like being like, there's nothing to do with it.
Of times that I've had to chase her down to get things done. She mentions in her video that I should not have responded to a brand without her. Not only am I in my full legal rights to communicate with people that I work with at any time, first of all, but second of all, here are some screenshots of me begging her to respond to me at various times so that we can get back to that brand. Here's me saying, I've taken the lead in responses to brand for a while now, and I've had to remind you that they need to be replied to a handful of times. At this point, I should not have to do that. I'm going out of my way to remind you to communicate with brand. I'm not okay with leaving brands hanging. They have been emphasizing their texts and double texting us to try to get in touch with us, and it's not a...
Then why don't you answer them? What is happening? It's like you guys are literally were like, okay, you do this, and then you stay in this box, and then I do this, and I stay in the... Is anybody going to answer the fucking brands? It's both your podcasts, yes? Okay, then go and answer. Like, I'm so over it.
It just seems like they're like both being very argumentative.
Not a good look at all, and I don't want that reflecting on me. In the future, I will be replying to them right away. I will no longer be waiting on you.
Okay,
then we get to defamatory video number 1. or I guess number 2, if we're considering the podcast episode. Immediately after launching her podcast, she posts a defamatory video about me. Reminder that I have brought none of this online. I am waiting for my legal counsel to get back to me about next steps and how to handle this the right way, and following advice to stay silent until we have next steps in place.
But that you won't
She decides
discuss.
to take it to the internet, and in her video, she says that she's been locked out of the accounts and paints me in a very negative light, and fails to mention that she's the one who locked me out of the accounts in the first place.
No,
I,
she
of
said
course, then start getting spammed with hate comments, and comments pour in on that video in support for her. February 12th, I receive a cease and desist from her lawyer. Here are some snippets. While Emma claims to have been erased from everything, this document specifically requests any removal of content with her in it, and a cease and desist to use the name Unhinged.
Oh.
But
No, that says the parties mutually remove any content currently available on their sites, accounts, and platforms that infringes the other party's copyrights, and will refrain from any future infringement. So yeah, she did ask for it to be taken down through the cease and desist.
yeah, no, sorry, I was
Interesting.
reading the top one first because it said mutually cease and desist using the name Unhinged. In so many words, I feel like that was like stop using the account. But it does seem to say also remove stuff from the account, which is a weird.
Yeah, so her using that as a point of like, I wake up and everything's gone. I'm like, did you either not read the cease and desist, or you're like, are you lying? Like, that is weird.
Clear, I did not sign her document, but I respected those demands. The logo, eye roll at this one. She claims that I copied her logo. Here are screenshots of us working with a graphic designer, pulling inspo of the
This is
logo
for
from the
graphic
companion movie and from Pinterest graphics.
What?
I do not
Just
care about
cursive.
her logo.
I was like, this is
The
for a graphic
reality of
designer.
it
It's
is
just a word.
that Emma quit Unhinged. We were negotiating back and forth over a make good. I offered her various make good settlements so that she felt good about me resuming on the accounts that I've grown. She refused to negotiate fairly. She requested $250,000.
That's insane.
Okay, girl, I know we said 5,000.
We also don't have. She's not showing receipts.
She's not, but if that's
But
true,
that is
that's
fucking
crazy.
wild. Like, no.
$500,000. What are you, Dr. Evil? Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I feel like there's so much that she just says. And then like, we're not seeing. She does show a good amount of receipts, though, I'll say.
She does, but what's
But
giving me the ick is she is kind of misrepresenting some of it. She's not
Some of it,
totally
yeah.
reverse receipting it, but she is being like, I mean, even the flat out saying that, like, I didn't think the other part of the email was important, but $250,000 for a podcast that doesn't, like, even for a TikTok account, like that's pretty crazy.
Let me go to the conclusion, like her ending this, because I really want to see if she gets to the point where she does acknowledge that and say like, oh my gosh, like that was very unprofessional and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because it seems like up to now she's just like, okay, whatever, like who cares? I'm like, no, that's a big fucking deal to not
She's
answer
making it
someone
seem
like
like
that.
the original of her getting locked out of the 2 accounts was like such an extreme thing, but it's like she didn't respond, and that was her way of trying to get you to respond, and you still didn't. And your response to that was to lock her out of all of them.
Yeah, I can see how in that moment, like if I start getting notices that you're changing things, I would feel very stressed out. But my response wouldn't be to change all of the accounts and not answer you for a month.
Well, and especially when Emma's like very clear about it, she's like, I sent them at the exact same time. There was no like period of time where it's like, oh my God, am I never going to be able to get logged in again? It was like, no, this is what happened.
Saddest part of all is watching how much society loves to watch 2 women pit against each other. The second that
Okay. All right, girl. I mean, come on. Are we really going there?
This is giving a little like scrape in the barrel for like, no, people like watching feuds.
Yeah. Welcome to Do We Know Them?
Who did we cover? Or actually, I don't know if that episode ever went up. Who was it? It was the 2 guys that he did the haunted videos.
Oh, Elton Casti.
Yeah,
and,
I think
the
we
other one.
filmed that,
Yeah.
but maybe the audio got ruined and then we never redid it or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it ever went up.
Oh, yeah. That never made it up. Well, so weird.
Whoops. But like, we covered that too. It has nothing to do with you guys being women.
It has everything to do with you both being pretty messy.
Yeah.
And obviously not
And you
vetting
bringing it
your
to the
co-host
internet.
or-
Like, all of both of you.
Everybody's going to timeout. I don't like this.
Absolutely, like, should have never been made public. Business stuff like this, no. Handle it legally. If she's not responding, get more legal stuff involved than a cease and desist and like start.
Can you imagine you
out.
and I doing like separate tell-alls on a podcast about like, come on, what are we doing here?
Who would we run them by?
I know. I was about to say, who's going to help me edit?
Drama
that doesn't
between
make sense.
two
We can't do
girls.
that.
Everyone's lining up to watch a cat fight. Majority of the comments on her video were saying, I don't know either of you. They just saw two women and decided one needed to be the villain. But I genuinely do not know how actual celebrities deal with this on a day.
No, they saw someone that was shut out from a business in a way that didn't
showed
make
a lot
sense
of
and didn't
receipts
seem
to
fair.
prove it.
This was not just someone, ooh, two women? Are you guys going to start going like this? It's like, okay, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. We don't want a cat fight. We're trying to understand what the fuck even happened here because both of you put it online.
For us in particular, we feel like we've been very personally invested, I feel like, because we're putting ourselves in your shoes because we can relate. I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
But like, this is something that you don't like. I mean, usually this is the quiet parts that you don't say out loud. So like you have been broadcasting them and people are like, holy shit, this is crazy because you don't ever usually see this side of the business. And you usually don't have people showing so many receipts.
It's interesting.
I think that they both definitely, I'm sure, had faults in this situation. I do think that Emma's receipts were a little more substantial and again, a little less emotional. But I also think it seems like it was a toxic work relationship. There's never just one side
from the
completely.
get, probably.
Yeah.
But I think all in all, like if you are someone that wants to start a podcast, and I know so many people do, and I think so many people should, like I think that it's a fun thing. It can be fun, especially if you don't make it as often as we do, or like even more often some people do. And it's a lot. It's a lot of work. But like if you're passionate about it, do it. I would say just keep investments to a minimum in the beginning and try to keep it fun and make sure that if you're going into business with someone, you know them. Because even us, I feel like and we've kind of like let you in and, you know, you see how the sausage is made a little bit in this episode as far as like finances and stuff go. But like we aren't super like ironclad. I feel like I've also been saying that a lot since that one episode. But like we aren't as ironclad as we probably should be at this point. And we will get there. Any lawyers? Are we hiring for a lawyer as well?
No, I'll just call Janet.
Oh, okay. No, but just in general, I just think that if you want to do it, just be aware, be careful. And this is a lot of work. That's all.
I don't think it's required that if you do a podcast or do a YouTube channel that you have
a studio,
that you do have to do it all yourself. But I think it gives you a whole different respect towards the process. My recommendation, even when I was just doing YouTube, people are like, how do I become a YouTuber? I would never in a million years suggest someone do YouTube unless they genuinely enjoy the act of making videos. And they like all aspects of it. Even if you're going to find an editor down the line, if you just want to be on camera, I don't think that that's enough. I think it's not going to work. You need to really have a handle on everything. Whether you're always going to do it all yourself is another thing. But I think you need to know how to do it and to understand the ins and outs and like what it takes to do it. I've been making videos since I was literally like, my first camera was like a little toy thing when I was like 7. So I'm like, that has always been something I've loved doing. And you stumbled into it from Vine, but like you then even after...
I've never had editors other than my brother. Like
I was going to say, and then you even
always been involved in it.
Vine, I guess, didn't require that much editing. But even then when you got into YouTube, even when you weren't posting that much, you were editing for other people. So you took a liking to editing. And we both had like production backgrounds. I don't know how you could go into something like this and just immediately hire other people because that one is hard to manage anyway.
This would have never worked anyway, even if they both did everything themselves and didn't have a set and didn't have someone recording for them or whatever. Yeah. But no, I just, I don't see any other way that this could have worked.
I think that a lot of people think you need to like have a set and have really nice cameras and like do all this.
You don't.
I'll tell you right now, that is not true. We just replaced our cameras, but like the cameras before were pretty basic. And even if we weren't filming on those, we could have filmed it on our fucking iPhones.
For sure.
It wouldn't have made a difference. I taught myself how to edit. We've never had like coloring experts and stuff. You learn how to do stuff. You make it better as you go along. I mean, not to be cliche, but people are like, you just have to start. And I think that's the thing. And to start,
but not too quickly and not with someone you don't know.
Like is wild.
But this was a very interesting topic. Got us a little bit nervous, a little scared, tapping into our own, just like imagining that we were in this position.
I was like,
stresses me out, makes me want to cry.
It's like, speak for yourself.
But I think
you're packing your bags for the Cayman Islands.
Hopefully you guys liked this side of us where we're talking a little bit more about ourselves than we usually do for an episode. I feel like that was like the entire thing.
I mean,
even though
we
were like commenting on them.
No, I feel like a lot of the time when we do bring up stuff more like behind the scenes, and this wasn't so like boring, just like brand deal talks.
But that's what the purpose of, if you want to know, do we know them? it was a podcast from influencer creators' perspectives where we talk about kind of the behind the scenes of it. So, it all just kind of tied around.
I believe I made the bio of our Instagram, which we don't really use.
We'll get to that.
2 formerly relevant internet people talking about currently relevant internet people or something.
You see, she did the bio, so she owns the account.
It's all mine. I made up the name. You're fucked.
I know it seems like we're all done, and we almost are, but we looked at the doc really quick and realized we forgot something. So just one more reaction. I know we wrapped up all our thoughts. We won't do it again. We're just going to watch this one clip because this is Chloe saying what ended the podcast. It's like the actual incident that ended it. And I feel like that's important and we have to go back.
I am nosy and would like to know.
Me too.
There is an instance where there was a episode that was unedited and accidentally uploaded to YouTube. And I found that out because, see the comment, somebody commented, Emma was hella mean to Chloe in this episode, not gonna lie. And I realized it's because all of the moments that are normally cut out were still in there.
What do you mean you realized? Who uploaded it?
Probably Emma. You know how Emma said they took turns?
Yeah, but why would Emma
editing.
post an entire unedited video where she looks like shit?
I don't know. That's crazy.
Was that we were filming and we got a notification that a brand wanted to do a deal with us. We were super excited. It wound up falling through. We ran outside to film it. It had to be done that day. They wanted us to do the suspect trend on TikTok, if you remember what that is. And so that entailed us running alongside each other filming. She kept telling me to get closer to her face, and I was already like this close to her face in the framing. And I was like, I don't think you're going to like it or that it'll work. Let me show you the framing from here and from here. She made a big reaction, a heavy sigh, started catching an attitude. And I was like, we really don't have to do this if you don't want to. You seem like you're not really in the mood. She said, I would be fine doing it if you weren't such a bitch. I said, whoa, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. We have a professional working relationship, and I am not going to be treated like that by someone who's supposed to be my friend, by someone who I'm working with, or by anybody in my life. And I'm going to have to set a boundary now. So we went back upstairs. We pushed through and we filmed one more episode. I have footage from that day because, mind you, I was filming on my phone. And I have footage from the studio time as well. I'll keep that to myself.
Oh, bitch.
I hate it.
Have that.
I hate it.
And after that, I walked out. And that is the last time I saw Emma.
I'm sorry, but I understand. That's horrible. And I would never call you a bitch. Like, I feel like once you use the B word, like literally just throwing it at someone, it's over. That's it. There's no coming back from that. Like, actually, like, you're being such a bitch. That's harsh. Now, what I will say is that it's all anecdotal. We don't know.
I was going to say we don't have proof. And now you say
you're going to keep the one receipt you have,
but we don't get to see the footage.
And the comment is like, that's one comment, and it doesn't even say anything's unedited. It just says that, I don't know. It's just, I
could find a million comments where it says one of us is cutting off the other one or
being
like
mean to the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we won't get into our wrapped up thoughts
but that was
of everything,
interesting.
but that's very vague. But anyway, that was just, we needed to touch base on that so that we didn't have to come in with a voiceover and do it. Okay, we love the internet, shall we?
Yeah.
Mine involves a dog, but it also involves Sedona Prince. Remember her?
Ew, why?
You'll see.
Okay, Bella, I want to show you somebody. 7-year basketball player, 6'7", choked when it mattered most, the one, the only, the undrafted, Sedona, the abuser, Prince.
Now, would that dog do it with any paper?
I was
Probably.
Gonna say,
but is it funnier because it has pictures of Sedona Prince?
It has
It
a
is.
big paper issue I'm sensing. But oh my God, that was great. If my dog did that, I would new pictures every day. Oh, okay. I have either an ADHD one that is really funny, or actually, I'll just do that one.
Okay. That's a very ADHD introduction.
I kind of feel like you are not diagnosed, but I
know you have diagnosed me actually.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you relate to this.
Okay, so this is when you're following verbal instructions, but you have ADHD.
In front of you is a piece of paper with a circle and a pair of scissors. I want you to pick up the pair of scissors and put it to the side. We're not going to need this quite yet. If you did accidentally cut the paper, don't worry. There is a roll of tape on the table next to you. I want you to pick up that tape and place it off to the side with the scissors. We're not going to need it quite yet.
That's why every time I'm building something, I fuck it up. I just can't.
As soon as I watch it, I'm like, anytime I'm looking at instructions on how to build any kind of piece of furniture, I'm like, oh, what do you mean I wasn't supposed to connect that? And then I have to redo it.
I literally fully build at least one drawer just completely fucked up. And then once I do the first one, I'm like, okay, I got it now. Yep. But yeah, I have to do it backwards
if you would talk faster, none of this would be happening.
That's true.
It's because we try and finish we're like, oh, I know what they're going to say. And plot twist, you don't.
And then
always.
you don't. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. This was a long one, but I actually had, I mean, I always have a good time, but I had a good time.
I felt passionate
it's like
about
something that
one.
we're passionate.
Yeah.
About. You know.
I mean, last episode, everyone was in the comments saying, we don't care what you talk about. We don't like it when you're interested. Well, you got what you asked for.
We were interested, so I hope you are too. And if you made it to the end, we appreciate you very much. But yeah, as always, we hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Bye.
Cheers.
I'm the one who does the outro, so I own the podcast, just so you know.
I named it, so good luck in the Cayman Islands, bitch.